Hello folks, Al here from the DigiKey User Experience team. Today I'm going to be walking you through some of the powerful capabilities available in the DigiKey myLists tool. This robust application is the ideal solution for all of your list management needs. Alright, so I've already logged in and navigated to the myLists front page. There is a guest version of myLists, however, to save your lists and have access to all of the features, so we do require that you register. In this video we will be focusing on the logged in version of the tool. From this page you do have access to all of your previously created lists, as well as any lists created by your coworkers that they've made accessible to you. And we'll get into how that all works here just in a little bit. You also have access to any previously generated quotes, and similar to lists, you have access to any quotes that your coworkers have made accessible to you. To begin a new list, you do have a couple of options. You can either upload or create an empty list to start from scratch. Today we're going to be starting via an upload. I'm going to click Upload a List, select my file. Alright, and then that's going to bring me to our file upload mapping page. By default, the DigiKey myLists tool is going to auto map your file based on the contents of each column. So you'll notice that my column 1 is already mapped to my DigiKey part number, my manufacturer name, here's manufacturer part numbers. Occasionally you will need to go in and make a few edits. It looks like it didn't quite catch my board location, so we'll go in there and mark that as reference designator. My quantity. Want to make sure that that does catch our attrition, and then customer reference. Once you have all of your columns mapped, you just want to make sure that you're going to start pulling from the appropriate row. Since I have labels in my first row of my file, I'm not going to pull from there. We're going to select row number 2. And in the case that I utilize the same format in all my files, you do have the option to save a mapping format. So if I didn't want to go through and make those edits every time I upload via this format, I could click Save this mapping format, give that a name, and I can set that as my default. So next time I come, I could just bypass the steps of making those selections. For today, we'll just leave that be, and we'll continue to our list preferences. So on the list preferences page, right away we just need to add a new list name. So we'll call this video list 1. Beneath that, you'll notice there is a visibility setting. This is where you control whether or not your coworkers can actually see and or edit your list. By default, this will be set to private, so only you can view and edit the list. We do have a read-only option, so your coworkers can have visibility, but they will not have edit privileges. And then, of course, there's read-write, which will give all of your coworkers full control and edit privileges. Under packaging preferences, you do have the ability to control if you want any instances of cut tape to be set to either cut tape or DigiReel. And then we do have some controls on how any problematic line items would be handled. So in the case that any items don't meet quantity requirements, for instance, we can either indicate the issue and have you update that line by line as necessary, or we can actually go in and make all those updates for you. We'll still indicate where any of the edits have happened, and then you can review what changes have been made. We also do have a database of any previously utilized customer reference numbers. So if those are utilized as internal part numbers for you, you can actually go in, if you happen to not map that column, if you selected yes, we'll pre-populate any line items that have previously been purchased and have an associated customer reference number with that previously saved reference number. From there, you can choose to set any of these alterations as your default list preferences. You'll notice if I toggle any of those over, it will kind of pop that, but for today, these are my default preferences, so we'll just click Finish Upload, and our list is going to be generated. You'll see right off the bat there's a few issues that we're going to want to take a look at, and it's going to make sure it's going to highlight with a yellow tone. We'll take a look at those in just a minute, so we'll just close those out. Starting at the top left, you'll notice you do have the ability to control the name of your list. If you want to make any edits to that, switch that over to 2 and click Save. We also have direct access to those same list preferences that we were just on. We do have tagging abilities available. If in the case you're working on a project and want to maybe indicate all the folks you're working with this on, you can do so with that. These are free-form, completely controlled by you. You can also potentially utilize this to just indicate if a list has an overarching project. Beneath that, we do have a search capability. This does search across all of the parameters of a list, so from part number all the way over to any of the other parameters within this. Do have filter capabilities. You have the ability to filter on manufacturer, the product category, whether or not a line item matched, who's shipping a product, the part status, and then finally packaging. Moving over to the right, we have this edit columns capability. If I click that, this actually gives you the ability to customize your view of a list, so you can control not only which columns are visible, but also where they actually fall within the table. So if we close really quick just to kind of review what looks here, you'll notice I have availability, quantity, packaging, and unit price by default. If I, for instance, wanted country of origin to actually be right next to my primary product column, I could pull that all the way up to the top, click apply, and now my country of origin is taken the place and moved into that location. If I need to move that back, I can simply drag and drop that back to where it was, and we're good to go. And like I said, you can actually control whether or not these are even visible. If I wanted to turn off quantity, for instance, I could do that, and then that is gone. So we'll make sure and turn that back on quick. There we are. Our download capability works very similar. Again, you control not only the visibility of a particular parameter, but also where that falls within the list. And that, again, is just drag and drop, and you can pull that wherever you would like that to show up in your download file. We also have this handy email feature, so you can actually send copies of this list, the download, to anybody you would need to or yourself. Within our more options here, we do have save revision. This allows you to actually keep track of various changes you've made to a list. Anytime you click save revision, it is going to add on this extra piece of interface, and that's going to give you access to that moment in time when you clicked that save. So clicking onto that, you'll notice that now I'm in read-only mode, and I still have the ability to run through and have controls over this particular view of this list, but you'll notice that nothing is editable. So if I want to get back to my active view, there we are. And then finally, within our row of features, we do have a duplicate capability. This is ideal if you just need to create a copy of the list. You just be asked for a new name, and then you can create that duplicate. As we scroll down into all of the information that's available within our list tool, you'll notice quantity, our column number 1. You got direct access to the large image just by clicking that. Our manufacturer part number, along with the description, and our manufacturer do have visibility to the current stock status and availability. We also provide visibility to any substitutes that are available. We'll get back to those in just a second. Our current quantity for that product, along with the ability to add a number of other quantities. The current packaging setting, our unit price and extended price based on our current quantity, our customer reference number that does carry into all of our shopping carts and the various documentation throughout the ordering process, the originally requested part number, our attrition value, which we'll talk about here in just a minute, the minimum order quantity, our manufacturer standard lead weeks when product is not in stock here at DigiKey, access to the data sheet, our reference designators, our board locations. We do also include U.S. import tariff status. We do have a notes field that is completely free form for you to utilize however you like. Visibility to the current part status of a product, the ROHA status, reach status, and then getting into our import, our export, various pieces of information. So ECCN code, HTSUS code, and then our country of origin, along with any environmental documentation, and then the original part number that we actually uploaded for that particular line item. All right, as we get into some of our controls, as I mentioned, you do have the ability to add multiple quantities per line item. Whenever I'm actively editing a quantity, you will get visibility to your price table for that particular product. And we do have the ability to add multiple quantities. So if I wanted to see not only what this product costs at 10 pieces, 100 pieces, maybe even 1,000 pieces, I can do so. And you'll notice the packaging controls are going to be available for each of those. I can also enter a quantity that happens to potentially exceed one full reel, but then have some remainder of cut tape. The list tool takes care of that, breaks it down into the appropriate packaging types, and does provide the cost for each of those particular sets of quantities, but keeps them grouped together. We also have the ability to control the packaging type set for each of these. So you'll notice, and once I click that down, I do have a drop down that gives me the ability to potentially switch that to, say, DigiReel if I wanted to make that alteration, or I can actually move this into full second reel. All right, as we scroll down, I think we're going to encounter some of those messages that we originally ran into. So you'll notice that this product happens to be obsolete. We no longer have any stock of that particular product. In this case, we're probably going to want to review our substitutes. You can either click View Substitute link or tap this plus sign on the left-hand side. That's going to expand our row. And within that row, you're going to notice that we have a number of suggested alternates based on approved subs from DigiKey. This list will consist of a number of different substitute types. For our purposes, we're probably going to take a look at our direct subs. And from here, I can actually move these into my approved alternates list. So I can just click Add Alternate, and it's going to move it up into that list. We'll take a look at a few that actually have stock here. And it looks like that is another direct, and that should cover it. All right, so once I've moved any of those items into my approved alternates list, I can actually then utilize these or any item I want to add manually into the primary location. So, for instance, I want to move, looks like this product from Vichy happens to have the most quantity available. That'll work for my purposes. I'm going to click Replace Primary, and now it has replaced the original primary, and my obsolete product has actually shifted into my alternates list. I can then either save that for visibility in the future or simply delete it. All right, as I continue to scroll down, it looks like there was another line item with an issue that needed to be resolved. In this instance, it appears this product happens to be non-stock, so this is a product that DigiKey carries but doesn't prototypically keep in stock on our shelves. Looks like there's a minimum multiple order quantity that we need to review, so we'll click View Options. This product happens to have a minimum order quantity of 600 pieces. That's probably not going to work based on our other quantities that we're currently purchasing at. In this case, we may just need to remove this particular line item. To do so, I just click the checkbox next to that line, and then I can delete it. Some other capabilities that are associated with that checkbox, you do also have complete control over where a line item happens to sit within the list. So if I'm currently at 17 with this product, if I want to move that up the list, I can click the up arrow here and kind of move it around the list. I also have the ability to quickly move it to a further location if I just want to enter, say, I want to move line 17 to line 1. Enter 1, click off, and it's going to move it all the way up to row number 1. If I need to move it back down to 17, again, click off, and there it is. Right, let's turn that off for now. If I need to add a new part to replace the part that I had just removed, I can do so manually within this field. I also have the option to upload a secondary file or have our bulk add function if I just need to copy and paste information. All right, let's just enter this manually. All right, once I have my product added, I then just can add a quantity, and now all my information is filled in for that. We also have the ability to actually house any products that potentially wouldn't be supplied by DigiKey. So in the case that let's put in a number here that isn't going to actually return any results. So in this instance, this is a product potentially not carried by DigiKey. We still want to make sure that you can keep your entire list intact. So maintaining that within the project and within this list is available. All right, we'll take a look at some of the capabilities on our right-hand side here. So by default, you're already going to get a visibility of your total value of the list, and that is based on the radio selections if you do have multiple quantities per line item. We have our assemblies capability. So if you're building out a bill of materials and you inevitably need to build multiple assemblies of said end product, you can quickly make those adjustments by entering an assembly number. So if we up that to, say, 100, click to update, myLists is going to do all of the mathematics for you. So without changing your original quantity, I'm now multiplying it by our 100, and we have our new quantity. Packaging is updated to account for that, so you'll notice a couple alterations there, and our unit prices and extended prices have also updated to match all of that information. We also have our attrition capability, so if there's any products lost during the manufacturing process, you can set a particular percentage for each line item to account for that loss. By toggling this on, again, it's going to function very much like our assemblies capability. You'll notice then the addition of an extra percentage to account for that loss. And again, all of that math is done for you. Packaging is updated to account for that, and our prices are as well. Once you're ready to actually make a purchase, you can click Add to Cart at our floating row here. And by default, it's going to let you know exactly how many line items can be added to a cart successfully. You'll remember we did add that one particular line that DigiKey doesn't carry, so I can just quickly click Review Items, and it's going to let me know what issues are occurring with a particular line item. In this instance, that same line item happens to not match. It also doesn't have a quantity entered. Good to go there. That's the expectations with that particular product. Another nice capability within this, if I potentially only wanted to order some products within my particular list, for instance, I only wanted to order the resistors, or potentially only wanted to add this one particular product, I can also do that. So by filtering or utilizing our checkboxes, once I click Add to Cart, I then have the option to only include my currently selected product, the entire list, or my filtered list. So I have control there as well. Our assemblies is already set, and then we do have the option to either start a brand new cart, or if I'm actively already working on a cart, I can add to my current cart. In the case you need to lock pricing to work through an approval process, you're not quite ready to actually make a purchase, myLists can also generate quotes. Click on Create Quote. It's going to do a very similar thing there. So again, I have the ability to include or exclude various products. We'll just go with the entire list this time. Again, it's going to let me know if one product won't be able to be quoted. And from there, I'm going to click Create Quote. All right, and it has generated my quote number. I then have immediate access to a PDF copy that I can email to myself or someone else, or direct download access of those products. All right, once I can either jump into the quote or I can close this out. Once a quote is generated for a particular list, you will notice this toggle show up at the upper left-hand side of the screen. Once I click on Quotes, it's going to jump into my quote view, and this is going to be where any quotes that have been generated for this particular list are available, and then I have access to view the quote. So you'll notice this is a little bit different format. It is based on just locking pricing. All other information is going to be better accessed via the list display. This is going to lock pricing for the next 30 days, and you do have visibility for each line when pricing is valid through. This page, I can actually move all the products to a cart as well with that locked pricing. I do have the option to download our quote as well, and that's going to look very similar to what we just saw when we initially generated the quote. And then I have the option to duplicate the quote again. So once a quote has expired over the course of 30 days, I can come back to it, actually create a duplicate, and then have a new active quote. All the prices will reprice based on any alterations that may have occurred throughout that time, but I will have an exact copy of this quote again. Because I duplicated it, now I do have a new version of there, and like I said, all quotes will stack right within there. All right, let's jump back to our list view. All right, if you ever have any suggestions or questions regarding myList or any aspects of the DigiKey website in general, please submit those via the feedback tab that is persistent on the right-hand side of the page, or reach out direct at ux@digikey.com. That covers the current functionality available within the DigiKey List application. Be on the lookout for new capabilities in the near future. Thank you for watching.